Welcome back to Double Dose. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your host, Dipesh.
And we're here to take you from Earth to...
Be connect!
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm going to be rich?
Yeah. You're
Damn.
You're going to be a bit connect one.
Here's my life savings. Guys, we are back after a 1 week hiatus. I hope you're happy to hear our voices again and see our faces.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat, Daniel, I've done a bit of research for this episode, and I've been holding on to this story I've been wanting to tell you for a couple of weeks now.
Okay.
I'm excited to share it with you because it's something that resides in Sydney. Okay.
Ooh,
I want to talk to you about the secret cliff tunnel of Sydney.
Secret cliff tunnel.
Secret cliff tunnels. Secret tunnels. How do you get around so quickly?
Like a 10-year-old named it, but I hope it's interesting.
It sounds pretty cool. So I found this little article, and I'll bring up a photo for you while I shed some light on it. So this is what we're looking at over here, and we'll bring it up on the screen for you, lovely watchers. So mystery surrounds. Yeah, this is a little guy right here.
Looks like a fucking dick.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll do a little quick zoom in on that too, hopefully. So mystery surrounds the discovery of secret cliff tunnel hidden beneath Sydney Lighthouse. Drone images have emerged for the first time of the tunnel's entrance, which lies below the Macquarie Lighthouse at Vaucluse in Sydney's city's east. Even with the use of radar, the exact route of the tunnel remains unclear. The tunnel is believed to have been built in World War II and forgotten for decades, but there are currently no theories to its exact purpose. Interestingly, it was a Macquarie University student who filmed it herself, and she was actually filming the lighthouse because it's the logo for Macquarie University.
Okay.
And whilst filming some of this footage, just for a little trailer for the Macquarie University's YouTube channel, it was spotted.
Right.
So I'm going to skim just to the end of this video so you can see. Little zoom out, and all of a sudden, you just see a little.
So was the...
How funny is that? So it's right there.
The people... So is the YouTube comments and stuff all about this tunnel, or is nothing?
So I guess there's only one YouTube comment on this video. I don't think many people are going to Macquarie University's YouTube page. But I tried to find any footage of the tunnel, and it seems that someone has taken it upon themselves to use their own drone and film it as close as they can. They weren't able to go inside, unfortunately, but I found a comment which was very scary, and I will read it out for you right now. So while that's playing,
secret nuclear lab tunnel, is that legit?
Apparently, so this is a comment from that someone left by the name of from the username Tiger Green Tongue, and he says, "My best friend Craig Bruce fell from here, 12th of the 8th, 1973. He was 18 years old. The City to Surf foot race always reminds me of that day. We camped in the shack every weekend. I know the way down off the cliff face, and I know where the entrance is from above. The roof has partially collapsed on our barbecue and chairs. We had camp stretchers and hammocks in the room. The tunnel is only 20 to 25 meters long, and at the end of the tunnel is the battery. Above that is a rusted ladder to the cliff's top. There are no other secret tunnels that lead from the cliffs to the harbour. Oh, sorry, there are other secret tunnels that lead from the cliffs to the harbour. This is not one. Most of the tunnel entrances were concreted over. The installations on the harbour side were either removed and buried under parks and gardens. That is the fate of the ladder entrance to the shack. There is a garden bed and trees on top of the entrance. I know the cliffs from Bondi to St. Head like the back of my hand. I've climbed every cliff. I live in Wagga now. Still love cliffs."
Interesting.
Pretty sad story for his friend.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because, obviously this guy was around and knows the entrance to this from the cliff top. And he knows that there was a garden bed made over the entrances. And like we were talking a couple of episodes ago.
But he said there's nothing in it.
He says no. He says at the end of the tunnel is the battery. He just says the battery. And people have speculated that it could be used for nuclear research in the 1950s. I did read that. Again, I do not know.
How did you find this?
I was trying to find... I think I was either looking at the hidden tunnels in Sydney, because we were talking about this a few episodes ago, and I was talking about how there's a lot of these hidden tunnels in Sydney that have been really sealed off permanently, and any remnants of the entrances original whereabouts have been hidden from public view, which is I find very odd. I don't think that's something that should be hidden from the public. So looking for that, I think I was looking for maybe haunted things in Sydney because we were approaching Halloween at the time, and I stumbled across this and I thought that was fascinating. I mean, look at this thing. It's and for those that aren't watching, it's literally a small, I guess, like hangar opening, like a metal hatch opening on the side of a cliff. And we're talking like it's a proper cliff. Like it's how high up would you think this is from the shore?
I can't tell. I haven't seen the bottom. Quite high.
Quite high. Like if you come in off this thing, you're dropping for a long time.
Even the cliff above to, like, if you had to belay yourself down, like on Mission Impossible style, the cliff looks like 10, 15 meters at least. It's from the top of the cliff.
Yeah.
So it's like halfway down the cliff drop.
It's very far down, and obviously you can't. There's definitely an entrance to it, and that seems to be an exit of some sort. I don't know why there would be a need for an exit there on the side of just like on a cliff face.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Macquarie University has it under their lighthouse, under their logo. So someone knows about that history, and I would love to know.
Someone's built that.
Yeah, that's been built.
The people that say no one knows what's in it, I think that's a stretch. No, someone knows.
Someone knows. We're just not allowed to know, and I don't like that.
I don't like that.
I want to know.
Dipesh doesn't like that.
Let me know. So if any of you lovely listeners have heard about this, please let us know in the comments below. DM us, send us an email. I would love to know, but I thought that was pretty freaky, man.
That is.
It's just kind of eerie looking, and it's very overgrown. There's like vegetation.
No one's using it now.
No
I bet
way.
you there's some real simple explanation for it, but just pretty freaky that no one knows it.
And it's crazy that this guy, Tiger Green Tongue, he was like straight up like having barbecues and hammocks and stuff, and they were using it. So this was probably like 30 to 40 years after its creation, it's abandoned and they're already using it. And then still on top of that, it was sealed up. And he knows of other hidden tunnels that lead from the cliffs to the harbour, which is crazy.
Wonder why.
Yeah.
Must have been access when they were building stuff underground there.
I just can't understand why you would need that there.
Yeah, and on the cliffside.
And why is there a battery or something in there?
Yeah.
Very peculiar. It's just a strange location, a strange thing to be built, and to be just left there like that.
Excavating that rock from that spot would have been super difficult.
Yeah, how do you go like straight down and then like just out to the cliff edge?
It looks like there's some walkways cut on the left and right of it.
You reckon that just looks like a erosion? Like it's just like a step.
Maybe it's got something to do with man, it's freaky, isn't it?
It is freaky. It's just it's very eerie because it's just like I don't know. It's honestly it's so smack bang in the middle of this cliff face. It's like why would you need an exit there? There's no need for an exit out of a cliff face there. Why build that? And it's like when you look at it, it looks like something from what's the game? The zombie game with the guy and the girl. Very popular.
Last of Us.
Last of Us. It looks like a scenery from that.
Yeah.
Where it's just been abandoned and it's overgrown. It just looks like wet and it's freaky, right? Like, I mean, unfortunately, this person that made the YouTube video looking into it, I don't think he could get his drone in it.
You'd be worried you'd lose it.
Yeah, because obviously it's several meters down from the cliff edge. And then you have to go in the ground, so that you're going to lose a strong signal. Unless maybe you're from the water, maybe from a boat, you'd get a better signal.
You wouldn't. The rock would lose a signal immediately as soon as it went in. It'd be screwed.
You'd probably almost like, I don't know how you'd be able to do this. You'd have to like set up like a little remote Wi-Fi hub at the entrance, and then send a little RC car.
You'd have to belay yourself down and get back up.
Very freaky. All right. Well, who's keen to check that out?
Me. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It reminds me of those videos of those guys that they walk down the old abandoned mines and stuff.
Yeah.
That shit is so scary. I've seen a couple of them where this guy starts hearing like screaming sounds.
Oh my God.
And he's like the only, so he's got a whole YouTube channel where he just discusses going in mines, and he's been in thousands, and he always likes adventuring in the ones that, that are really completely abandoned, and they just, I don't know what happened, but it says caution, do not enter, blah, blah, blah. He goes down deep
Like, are we talking like those old like gold mines and stuff like that?
Yeah, old ones that are just completely run over, and
Yeah.
you know, there's even power running to some of them that are just left going and just completely abandoned for whatever reason. And then
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I have watched some of those videos.
and this guy goes down a mine and he starts hearing this noise. And he turns around behind him, and one of these real heavy metal chains.
I've watched the exact same video.
It's like swinging in not the wind, but it looks like it's being bumped by something. And he's like, "No one is here."
And he's deep, and this is like in like the desert.
Yeah, it's in the desert of like Arizona or something.
Yeah, like just an old like maybe gold rush mine.
Yeah, and it's just middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, and I know exactly what you're talking about because he's walking through, and you know there's no one with him, and the chain's just swinging.
Yeah,
and there's barely any light in there.
Yeah. I remember that video.
I watched that video. Yeah,
goosebumps.
Yeah, it's a freaky video, man.
And so I saw that one, and he said that's the only one he's had that kind of experience in.
Would you go in this?
I would go in if it wasn't dangerous to go in.
I wouldn't go in.
You wouldn't go in? What would you think would be there?
I just think it's pretty freaky.
Yeah, but dude, my darky run days, I'm primed for it.
You've been training your whole life for it.
I was in the pitch black darkness. I could not see this.
There's no fear when you're a kid. You're just excitement and adventure.
I was running with my hands on the walls, and there's cockroaches everywhere.
That wouldn't have bothered me so much. I think at that age, you're just like, it's just mysterious. You're just like, it's an adventure, right?
Yeah, I was worried about getting lost because there was some turns.
I'd be more worried about getting caught. That's when I was doing things like that. I was always worried about like, what if someone catches us doing this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, I was too off the grid. No one would ever come down. And some kids' parents, I think, would be like, "Be careful in there," and I'll be like, "Fuck off."
Imagine you emerged and you were in a completely different state. Would you tell anyone?
Different state.
Imagine you went down a darky run with your friends,
and after
you got
like
out,
5 minutes,
and you asked someone, "Hey, are we near Parramatta?" And they're like, "Parramatta." I'm like, "Yeah, Parramatta, but near blah blah blah." And they're like, "That's in Sydney." And you're like, "Yeah," and like, "This is South Australia." I
would be freaked. I was hoping for something like that.
And they're all dead set. Would you?
This was the
Would
days.
you tell them, or would you be like, go straight back in tunnel, go home, and like be your friends, like talk to your friends, and be like, "What do we do here?"
I think I would be like, "Oh," and then just walk away and talk to them. But I think a lot of people think that in the movies, you know, if you just jump back in time and blah blah blah, and people just have like this crazy adventure and then you come back to normality. But I really think what ends up happening, and me learning from my mental health and what ignorant little man I was back in the day, ignorant child, I have no idea. I think what actually would happen if you experienced any kind of time dilation, any kind of, you jumped from one spot to the other and you came back, I think you would actually probably, your body would become really frightened and you would assume you're experiencing some kind of psychotic symptoms.
Because I guess it would be the same sensation of literally being visited by like an alien. It's just something that
your mind can't really comprehend it.
You've never seen evidence of it ever, and now you're seeing something that it's unfathomable. You cannot believe that you're actually seeing it, and I think you'd probably have a psychotic break. As exciting as it sounds,
it would probably happen.
Yeah.
It's like those people that get powers in movies. You know, like I get power, I'm become Superman, and blah blah blah. You've seen the movie
Chronicle?
Chronicle, yes. Damn, you're on it. Chronicle, where the kids get the powers.
Yeah.
I don't think it would go anything like that. I think the kids would all become extremely frightened and freaked out that their reality wasn't normal anymore.
At least they had each other.
They did have each other, but that's true. But
I feel like if you had friends that you could confide in,
they would all still think they're probably becoming some sort of mass psychosis versus,
maybe,
oh my God, I'm getting powers.
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
Is this really happening? Like, I'm getting kind of freaked out. Is this really happening? Because like you would think it's a dream for a long time.
Yeah, I think
you would be like, is this what reality is supposed to be like? That's kind of frightening.
I think as long as you had people around you that experienced the same thing as you, then
that's
it'd be
a bit
okay.
better.
But if you're by yourself and you were visited by an alien, legit, and you had to live with that, and you couldn't explain to anyone, and you knew everyone was going to think you're absolutely insane, you would just go insane.
Too much,
You'd
I
go
think,
insane.
for a lot of people to handle.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, you know, in the show Dark, the Netflix one, you showed it to me at the beginning.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the time travel thing.
Yeah, that's intense.
So if you went back in the past and got stuck, I swear to God, you would start having the illusion and probably your brain would start even thinking,
You wouldn't know it's real anymore.
was that a dream? Was my previous life a dream and now I'm here?
Yeah.
And now is my reality real? Like, I feel like a lot of people would actually become extremely frightened and it would be almost completely overwhelming. You wouldn't be able to live with it.
Yeah. You wouldn't think you're in control of the situation.
Yeah, your brain would be like, is this normal? I'm freaking out, too much to handle. And like, it can be too much to handle.
I think so. You would just overwork your head being like, oh my God, what the hell's happening? And to the point where you just snap.
Yeah, that's what I think ends up happening.
Yeah.
So
I know. That's interesting you say that.
If I went into a tunnel and went to somewhere else, I think I'd be like, all right, I'm pretty sure this is a dream.
Right.
This can't happen in reality.
And what if you're with your friends when you're on your darky runs?
I would assume I'm dreaming.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't be like, you'd be like, well, from DPDR.
As a kid, you'd just be like, did you experience that? I'd be like, yeah, we were just there. We were with you the whole time.
Yeah, but for
be like around the twist.
This is me thinking with my dissociation.
This is with a mature head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I might snap out of my mental health issues and be like, oh yeah, I could totally handle that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I don't know. But I think really it would be a big strain on your brain.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that like I would have to talk to the people I was with to death about the situation until I felt like
I'm grounded enough.
Yeah, like I know that they experienced the exact same thing I experienced.
Yeah.
But if they were like, yeah, like they didn't want to talk about it, I'd be freaking out, dude.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, you got to talk to me like this.
Yeah, no, like, I'd be, yeah. I don't know if I've brought this up on the podcast. I had something similar happen. I was driving in the car with my buddy and we were a little intoxicated. And we're coming up to my house and there's a cul-de-sac near my house. And there was so as we were creeping up the road, there was a car parked in the cul-de-sac. And on one side of the cul-de-sac is kind of like overgrown bush and then like houses start on the other side of the cul-de-sac. And as we were driving up, I saw a grey blur from the middle of the cul-de-sac dart behind the car, which would have gone eventually into the bushes. So the car really blocked a few frames of the motion.
Yeah.
If the car wasn't there, I probably would have been able to figure out what it was. But it moved so quickly. So when I was talking to him and I looked forward and I just saw it, zoop, and I'm like, and I was mid-sentence and I said, did you see that? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, and I was so serious because I was like, dude, don't joke with me right now. What was it? Because I know what I saw. And I said, describe it then. And he described exactly what I saw. He goes, it was grey and it moved super quick. And I'm like, yeah. And it looked like it had 3 legs. And it was like mid stride when I saw it. And he described the exact same thing. So I knew he saw what I saw. And then we pulled up to my house and I was like freaking out because I'm like, well, it wasn't a dog because it was way too big to be a dog. It moved so quick.
Okay.
Yes, we were, a little bit intoxicated.
That doesn't matter.
But we both saw the same thing. I think I whittled it down to, I think it was actually a kangaroo.
Okay.
Because this
3
thing was
legs makes sense because of the tail.
Yeah. Well, the way I saw it was like, it was in a stride and it was, dude, I was picturing like a grey wolf. It was so big. It would have been like taller than this table. Like this big.
Yeah, kangaroos are massive.
And it just went like, it was just like, and it was so quick and huge. And I was like, about to get out of the car. I'm like, freaking out. I'm like, if that thing's out there moving that quickly, what's it going to do to me? I was freaking out.
You're in a car.
Yeah. But I had to get out of the car to my house. Yeah. And I was like, shit, dude, this is kind of scary. And then a couple of weeks later, I did see a dead little wallaby nearby. Right. And I was like, maybe.
Most likely that's the case.
I know we have foxes that come in my street sometimes.
Too big to be a fox.
It was quick and huge, dude. And I was freaking him out. But like, again, in that instance, if my friend didn't see it, I would be freaking out because just the sheer size and speed that this thing was, I'm like, this is a creature. This is a monster.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I'm like, there's not a dog. What else could it possibly be in Australia?
Yeah.
At like, I don't know, 1 a.m. in the morning.
The fact that there's bush there, though, probably a wallaby. Because I'm even close to suburbia when I'm riding around on my scooter or my bike and stuff, and I see wallabies and I see kangaroos, and I'm like, fuck, these things are huge, even in the distance.
Yeah.
And I see them bouncing around. I'm like, man, I'm like right near houses here.
Why are kangaroos so jacked?
They're animals.
But
shave a dog down, bro. The thing's muscular.
Maybe a
as hell.
staffy, but my dog's soft as hell.
Yeah, but I'm saying wild animals that live in the jungle.
They look like they're bench pressing. They got veiny biceps and like
Yeah,
just
but look
straight
at it.
pecs, and they're just like,
Yeah, but look at a gorilla, and the thing only eats vegetables all day. Doesn't even eat meat.
gorillas are scary. Hey, they got way too much strength.
Dude, look at a chimp, and when they're
strong.
they're bald.
But you know what?
bald
They look
chimp,
like they don't look like they're
freaking
jacked.
huge.
They look like they do strength training.
No,
It's
no,
a different
but-
build.
All right, look at this.
Write this down.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
You saying they look like they do strength training, bro?
What did you type in?
Hairless chimp.
Oh,
There's
they're gonna
some
type
that
in-
have like alopecia and shit. Look at
Jacked
how fucking
shrimp.
jacked up
chimp.
it is.
Let me rotate the screen a little bit for me. Okay, yeah, that chimp's pretty. But you know what he looks like?
That's an old chimp. too.
He looks like old man that was fit in his life.
Yeah, but look
Fit
at
in
this
his prime.
beast, man. Look at the lats on this thing.
Yeah, look at his quads.
Dude, look at his lat. And yeah, I know, and they barely use their legs.
Why are they that strong?
Because they're
Why are they-
wild animals. They need to have look at this thing.
That's freaky.
Flying in the night.
I was thinking about this the other day for my dog. When I say the other day, this was actually quite a while ago. I think that the reason they're so fit is because one, they're not self-conscious about their body.
Okay.
So every movement they do is optimal, right? There's like no hunchback. There's no, I don't know if I can lift this. It's just like, I need to do this. And they do it with 100%. So if I'm walking, I'm not lazily walking. I'm a dog in this scenario. I want to get from there to the ball. I'm not like just slepping over because I'm a man. I'm a human being. I feel laziness in my head. I'm just like, I get the ball now. 100% pure motion. Like imagine if we did everything with perfect 100% dedication.
It's all dedicated form.
I think that's why they're so fit, because it's dedicated, right? Like if you were to stride and walk with perfect posture everywhere you went, just shoulders back, perfect freaking just. What was it? Your tripod stance with the ball of your foot and then the toes and then the heel, and I reckon you would have the most perfect defined legs.
But, okay, I'm gonna be coming hard on the other side, and let me say though, because
why you gotta do me like that?
Because there's a trade-off between motor skills and power. There's a trade-off. You can't have fine motor skills and insane amounts of power being put into what you're doing. Because you get a chimp to fucking try and write cursive. It's not going to be able to do it because its movements are too strong.
Or is it because it doesn't know what it's doing?
No, it does not have the fine motor skills that we do.
Right.
That's why we can do fucking surgery and sew. Right? There's a trade-off between strength and the fine motor skills that we develop. So I even read a study about it in between boys and girls. Girls have neater handwriting when they're young because they actually develop fine motor skills much better than boys do.
Interesting.
So when boys do, they have a lot more strength in their movements, so they actually lack the fine articulation in their limbs. So that's why girls can write very neatly and boys really struggle with that.
Interesting.
Because men's bodies are actually tuned to be strong.
And it's funny you say that because that just shot a memory into my head of a girl that was in my primary school, and I always used to look at how hard she used to press the pen on the paper. Her fingers would be white, like her knuckles would be white, and she would be digging the pen into the paper for every word, and I would just be like, "Isn't that not hurting you?"
Yeah,
I know her name. It's I won't say her name, but it's funny.
Redacted.
Beep.
It's
but obviously, I can understand. In general, women might be able to develop those fine motor skills early on. That's interesting. With chimps, for instance, do you think they're giving 100% because they're being told this pen has to touch the paper, and they go.
they do have they have pretty good motor skills.
Yeah.
And they can use iPads and screens. You've seen them using Instagram. They do the thing where they flick and stop, flick and stop, flick and stop. They don't just let it keep sliding. They flick and go to the next image perfectly.
But do you think it's because they don't know how much strength to put in? Like, for instance, my mum. When I show her,
they're still pretty good.
I'll show my mum something on my iPad, and she'll press it as if it's pressure sensitive.
Yeah, I know. It's just old people spec.
So a chimp, I'm saying it's just going to be like finger through the iPad.
No,
like
they still can use it with dexterity.
But how do you illustrate to a chimp? They would
They
know.
watch
Okay, you
you
touch
do
this, like you press a button that works.
don't
but they would be pushing it with. They don't know that they got to be lightly touch
don't.
something, right?
Watch. I'll show you a video.
Have you seen an animal eat anything? They eat it with so much ferocity. They're just like, I need to eat this, dude. It's not like I'm gonna just take a nice little bite, gentle bite of this apple, like we do.
Chimps have a better short-term memory and in speed and accuracy than we do. So what they do is they flash a bunch of numbers on the screen, 1 to 10, and then about a second later, they cover all the numbers with a pattern, and they have to touch exactly where the numbers 1 to 10 were in the correct order. And they showed this, and the chimps are just like, see it for a millisecond and go boom, 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 and they know.
Yeah.
But humans can't do it. But watch his dexterity.
I don't doubt that they can do the task. That's not what I'm saying.
But they're not smashing the screen like
But
you're
who's to say? Say if a human were to do that, they'd probably be tapping it. Who's to say the chimp isn't like look at this dude do it. See, he's just tapping it, right? Now I want to see the chimp do it.
Yeah, the chimp does it like freaking.
Let me see how hard he's pressing it.
He's not pressing it hard. He's just very accurate and quick.
Because maybe we can't explain to them.
Watch. The chimp will see it.
Man, this thing's bashing the screen.
No, he's not. He's very gentle.
Yeah, he's pretty gentle.
He's gentle. Look. Boom, 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 boom. He nails it every time. He gets it perfect.
Isn't it interesting the way they do it? Just looking at that, the way the human did it was you could see was thinking. But it looked almost like it was second nature for the chimp. It almost like looked like it looked away from the screen for a second there. It was like, yeah. Like it was like...
Yeah. It doesn't...
I'm doing the best at this.
Dude, look at this thing. Ready? Watch how it scrolls. Pretty nice. Watch.
What do you think it's thinking right there?
I have no idea. Look.
Is he double tapping?
Yeah.
What do you think he...
Look, he knows how to swipe away.
What do you think he's doing there?
He's just understanding pictures.
Do you think he's been taught to do it, so he's doing
He's
it, or
watching-
he
probably
knows
saw
what
people-
he's doing?
No, I think he's seen people do it, and he's figured
Let's
out
explain
how to,
for those listeners.
But he's just watching.
So we're
monkey
watching
videos.
a chimp navigate its way through Instagram,
and it's pretty accurate.
and it like knows
The features.
to swipe to go back to the main feed, and it knows how to click an image to bring it up. And I'm trying to understand if it's been shown that you can do this, or it knows what it wants to see.
It's
I wonder
definitely
what this-
understanding what it. If they can teach chimps and gorillas sign language, they can definitely use a freaking iPhone. Babies can use an iPhone.
Yeah, but they're not thinking; they're just following.
Well, dude, he's clearly interested in the video. He's
Interesting.
mesmerized.
Interesting.
Chimps. People thinks like,
One time I was
chimps
on the
are so
train-
funny and like, oh, they're so cool. I wouldn't get anywhere near chimp. I don't care how safe you tell me it is.
Anything that's strong enough to kill me, I wouldn't get near. One time I was on the train and a little girl was holding her mum's phone and she was posing with her hand up like that. And the mum was like, take a selfie. And I was like, oh, God.
How old was the girl?
Too young to even understand what she was doing.
Okay.
But she knew
The monkey
she was
see,
doing,
monkey do.
She was doing that pose and everything. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah. That's not good, my friend.
Not cool.
I wanted to show. Wait, don't look for a sec. I want to show you this picture I came across the other day, and I pissed myself laughing. Let me try and find a big one. So it was a really good representation of what. So you see a dog, and you're like, okay, yeah, you see fluffy dogs and you see skinny dogs, and you're just like, yeah, the fluffy dogs are really like, buff, and they've got a lot of muscle on them,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Someone shaved a husky down just from the head
my
down.
God,
and it
dude.
straight up looks like a cartoon.
It looks like Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like when they like explode the body up and the head's like still normal.
I kind of want to see its face shaved as well to see what... you can picture it would look like a Doberman or something, like just like a generic long dog face.
yeah,
So much of the characteristics are on the markings of the fur
yeah.
that when you were to shave it down and say what dog breed is this, I think I'd have a hard time saying what
You'd
it
have
was.
no idea.
Like if you were to block out its head, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd be able to say if that's a husky.
Yeah, same. It's so crazy to look at that and go, well, wow, so much of their distinction is the fur, and it makes them look so much bigger than they are.
Yeah, way bigger.
But apparently I read this is horrible to do to them because so much oil and the protection, especially dogs that shed, is in the skin. And so once you shave it, it never grows back correctly again.
Oh, wow.
Someone said they did it to their own husky and that it all grew back in patches and was never thick again.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So maybe you reckon this was at a vet or something? Was this for medical
vet
reasons?
did this, but I don't know why. What happened.
Maybe for an operation.
I thought it was the most funny thing I'd ever seen.
Bizarre. That looks
Like, God
very freaky.
damn, that looks so weird.
I want to see all big dogs just to see what they look like. German Shepherds and Rottweilers and stuff. I guess Rottweilers are pretty short-furred.
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Doesn't show it too much. My dog looks like that. Okay, so I got something for you today.
Show me. Tell me.
Okay, so in the 1960s, a Denver-based psychiatrist and a man who believed he could take photographs of his thoughts staged a series of experiments with Polaroid instant film. Dr. Jule Eisenbud and his test subject Ted Sirius, a former bellhop, were trying to prove that a psychic projection could manifest on film. You ever heard of this?
I haven't heard of this. Is this the... What did you say it was a professor? What did you say?
There's a psychiatrist. And a guy who just seemed to be like a random bellhop who claimed he could project his thought. And the way he did it was so intense. He'd be like, get ready for the photo, and just be like, and violently project this thing onto the
And
thought.
their first thought
Ready?
was,
Watch him.
I can capture it on camera.
Ready? Watch him. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to project my thought onto the camera. And you gotta
Oh, he
snap
tries to do it at the same time as they press the clicker, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, what is that?
These are some of the things that came out from his experiments.
But aren't they taking a photo of his face?
Yeah.
And they're not bringing up, oh, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I thought this was for jokes.
No, they never able to debunk this.
That's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
So, has anyone said that they have this power after this guy?
Yeah. So some people, there was one instance where these guys said that they were able to do this. Now, his one was on Polaroids. I looked into this a little bit and I found that, so he'd do the Polaroid, it'd be just like print and it comes right out, right?
So, for those listening, Daniel was just showing me a series of Polaroids. So what I first saw was the guy intensely shooting his head at a Polaroid camera as they were taking the photo.
Yes.
And I was assuming I was just going to get a close-up shot of this guy's focused head, just close up. But what these Polaroids I was seeing certain strange orbs, straight up building. I saw a building.
Yeah, it was like a Roman building or something.
I was seeing some distinct images.
Yeah, there's some things happening. So recently this was the 1960s, but recently they were all digitized.
Right.
And they were all put into like a library collection that you can look online and have like all the information put at your disposal. So this one was the thoughtograph was Big Ben.
What do they call it? They call it thoughtograph, do they?
Thoughtograph is what they called it. Thoughtograph, blurry image apparently of Big Ben Tower in London. Towers at 45-degree angle going from bottom to left. So these are all digitized at the University of somewhere. I don't know what this is. UMBC is the place. It was, I think, a university experiment. Universities study heaps of this stuff. And so they had a psychiatrist do it. 1967, they said the date and time, and they all did it, the measurements, any inscriptions on the notes, including in library exhibit. So the notes say psychic projections, photographic impressions, paranormal photos by Jule Eisenbud, collection of Ted Sirius, January 26th to March 27th, 2011 was digitized. The
So let me get this straight.
binder was from 4/4/64 to 3/16/65.
What's that?
So 1964 to 65 is when they did the experiments.
Okay.
United States, psychic photography was the genre. So they give you all the information of what was done for each photograph.
let me get this
and
straight.
The photograph was taken.
He claimed that he could project visions.
Yeah.
And the first thing that a psychiatrist said was, let's capture it on my Polaroid.
So I don't know how. So here we go. All the photographs from the experiment are held in a special collections of the University of Maryland, Baltimore country, and have recently been digitized. Now, anyone can browse the results and experiments to decide for themselves if they believe in it. It falls into a long history of using the medium of photography to try and depict and capture and collect evidence of paranormal events. Halver says, the case of Ted Sirius is unique that this used Polaroid cameras to produce his imagery. Polaroid cameras produce an original photograph on the spot, eliminating the opportunity for trickery to occur through printing techniques. Ted Sirius spent 3 years working with Eisenbud, having moved to Denver just for the experiments, holding a gizmo. It was a piece of paper rolled up into a short tube at the start of each experiment session to the lens of the Polaroid camera. From his head is what he would do. A snap of the fingers was the verbal command. Some of his photographs purported to show images of an object, a place that was not there, such as one on top of the post, supposedly the Pantheon in Athens. Others called normals depict of what you would expect all photographs to show. Ted's face, shoulders. So some are just like his face and shoulders and stuff like that.
Was he given the prompts of what to project, or he just...
I'm not sure exactly. I tried to find exactly what was happening. Maybe I can find... This is more just like the backstory. I'd like to know
if like they could like scientifically, they approached it that way. They were like, okay, don't tell us what you're going to project. We're going to take a photo and we're going to analyze it 10 and see if we can pick one of them.
So Sirius was an unemployed bellhop when his claims that he had an ability to put images on film with his mind came to attention of Jewel Eisenbud.
That's a very specific thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know why he said that. He was tested by Eisenbud at Denver during the period of 3 years. Sirius usually held a small cylinder called a gizmo, in quotations, up to the lens of an instant camera. Sirius images were often blank or black. Occasionally a fuzzy image would be seen that could be interpreted in many different ways. But on rare occasions, a relatively clear and unidentifiable image showed up, and although appearing surrounded by dark areas on the film, on some occasions his photos appeared to be distorted or altered versions of real places or images. One such photo appeared to be a hangar belonging to the Air Division of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I'm trying to find, because I don't know exactly how they got together.
I'll say this to be devil's advocate. I can picture the intention of convincing people by saying, I'm going to go with the Polaroid format because I get instant film and it can't be edited. But I do know of a double exposure effect you can essentially reproduce with the Polaroid camera, which is kind of like you're advised not to do it because you could destroy your camera. But as you're taking a photo, you essentially whack it on a surface or your palm as you're taking a photo. It fucks up the mechanisms. So then when you take another photo, it essentially imprints a double exposure onto the Polaroid. Because my partner was showing me on hers, she did it once, and you whack it at the same time you take the photo, and I guess it doesn't eject it, so this film stays in there, and then you double expose it.
Doesn't it have to be of one thing you recently took though?
So let's say they took a picture of a Pantheon, and then they do this experiment that's in the roll. So you're going to get a blurred light image of him, and this fuzzy image of something that the light was catching.
But I don't know if it was they got able to do that and then have an extremely I don't know. I don't know who was at fault here.
That's the thing. I don't know, but I'm just saying that that's a possibility. Especially since considering, according to that, a lot of the images are blurry photos of him in his face and his shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, they said possibly a small piece of photographic transparency was put into the gizmo for the lens to capture in their test. Eisenbud didn't take too kindly to the claim. He quickly offered a challenge. As his response, I hereby state that if any before competent jury or scientific investigators, photographers and conjurers, any chosen by them in any normal way of combinations to duplicate under similar conditions the range of phenomena produced by Ted, I shall abjure all further work with Ted, buy up any publicly and burn all available copies of the World of Ted Sirius. That was the book he created, so I'd have to read the book to learn more, I'd say.
Yeah. And no one's been able to reproduce.
Well, they had a couple of people do it with the films that they would develop in a lab, but then some people found out that they were using very poor they're contaminating the photographs as they were exposing it and then touching it onto human skin, and it would distort the photograph, and it was just blurry stuff, never an image like Big Ben or the Pantheon or stuff like that what they got. But again, no one was able to really disprove this. From what I could understand is that he would do it and it went on for 2 years, and then he kept the story that I mean, read the book if you want to learn more about it.
Interesting.
But I don't think anyone was able to disprove what he did. But it's also not something he made his whole life about. I don't think.
Well, if you're saying that there's people that have this ability, I wish we could, I guess, try it in modern times to get a bit more debunking, I guess. Because if that's true, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I saw this online and was like, what the hell? I just saw the first thing that caught me was the video of him going, and trying to shoot his thought onto the video. And I'm like, what the hell?
I guess the only thing that's hard to believe, honestly, is just the origin. It's like you're not going to think that like it's like that when Heroes tried to revamp the series again and they made someone's the power to go into a video game. It's like, how would you ever say that power came about 30, 50 years ago? How would you even know you had the power? There's no video games around. It doesn't happen in natural life. So how would you know to be like, I have this power. I need to get a Polaroid camera quickly.
Yeah.
You know, so that thought process to me is like, who's just going to a Polaroid camera by themselves to be like, I swear I can project my memories onto it.
Apparently he was a big drunk, from what I understood. He spent 3 years working with him, blah, blah, blah. The exposure was made upon a signal. Yet, aside from the parapsychology interest and disbelief, the photographs are also worth looking at for their connection to the history of the 20th century and unconscious having a polar or a proclaimed role. One approach within the movement was to try and produce imagery by tapping into the unconscious mind based on Ted's description of how he's making the images. He was working in a similar vein. His imagery came from unconscious mind or at least passed through it, Hoover said. So paranormal or not, the photographs were with their strange murky images that emerge like a figure in a fog, have something strangely mesmerizing in their visuals. Anyway, feel free to look it up. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want.
Send me that link. Have you had a look through a few images?
I did have a look at them. They were pretty interesting, to be honest.
You know what would have been a good test? To tell him to project something that hasn't been built yet, or a particular shape or a building or an object that it would be hard to take a photo of.
Yeah, you can look at all of them, but a lot of them are just odd.
How freaky would it be if you go through this archive right now and you find something?
It's me.
Oh, imagine! It was a portrait of you. I was going to say a world event like 9/11 or something.
So a lot of them are like, that's true, that'd be cool. But a lot of them are just like that. So,
and I can imagine like some people are like when they see Jesus in like a piece of toast.
Yeah.
You know, they're really reaching.
See, some are just like his face.
That's just straight up just a blurry portrait.
So, but they documented everything. But why would you get such clear photos one time and such crazy photos another time? It's a bit weird. Anyway, I thought that was pretty freaking interesting.
That is interesting.
I wish we knew more.
I've been seeing this. I've been seeing this thing on TikTok a few times where people are like freaking out because they are coming to terms that people, which I'm assuming you're one of them, like me, they can just picture a memory or an object and they can see it in their head. And they're explaining that some people just can't picture anything. It just goes blank. And I'm finding it very hard that people don't visualize anything if they're thinking of something. Like picture your mum's face right now. You can see it.
Yeah, I don't think people wouldn't be able to not do that.
But a lot of people are saying like some people don't have that. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Or maybe they can't picture abstract things, but I'm like,
but
if
you picture an apple in your head, you can just picture an apple.
Yeah, but some people don't have visual, like that kind of visualization in their head. But you have to think some people's brains would be completely different to yours.
I can understand that, but surely that's like, for me, it's like, are you really visualizing or is it just recalling memory? And I feel like everyone has memory.
Yeah.
If I would say like picture a lock and now describe the lock, you'd be able to describe it to me without even having to bring it up.
I think everyone can do it. They're just being lazy.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I can't imagine anyone that can't do it. Like if you were to read a book and there's stories and protagonists and there's a tale.
You get a visualization in your head.
You're seeing the story in your head. I mean, you're not looking at it first person, but like you're making up characters in your head. I don't think anyone can say that.
80% of our brain is geared towards the visual stimuli. So I think to say you visualize nothing is just someone being dumb.
If anyone says they can't, I want to talk to them because I had a feeling that they're full of shit. Because
I think they're probably just feeling embarrassed and they don't want to talk about it.
It's just impossible in my head. Like I don't see how that's possible.
Everyone would have some sort of image.
Yeah, because even if you said you don't, like if I'd be like, picture an apple, and they're like, I can't, like, describe an apple. That they could describe it, and I can describe it as well.
Unless they've got that brain, face amnesia.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Which leads me to something I wanted to tell you about.
Okay.
I saw this freaky Reddit post,
Yep.
and actually just ties right into what you're talking about. Someone wrote, one of the most frightening things I've ever heard is when someone pointed out that the existence of the uncanny valley implies that at some point in time, there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of something that looked human but wasn't. How freaky is that?
I don't agree with that.
No?
No.
There is something freaky about the uncanny valley.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's I think the uncanny valley is proven to be that it's in our nature to pick out something that's off about a person.
Yeah, but why would we have evolved to have that trait?
Because difference and strangeness in humans is bad.
But
So people acting odd or psychotic or crazy or mad or whatever is a sign of something's wrong, and you need to get away from that because our genetic gene pool needs to be pure.
But there's traits within
That's why
all things that are approachable, and there's things that you should be afraid of. So, like, we've been developed to be scared of things that have big teeth, big sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Right, straight off the bat. If you saw a creature you'd never seen before and it had big sharp teeth and like predator eyes, you'd be like, I'm not going to approach this thing. There's something about Uncanny Valley that makes you not want to go near it.
Yeah, it's that
same feeling.
That primal drive to not. It's, for instance, how elephantitis can be like body horror and scare you.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Imagine you just were walking in the middle of the night and some guy was just staring at you like this. And he didn't say a word.
Terrifying.
Just like
For those listening, Daniel is just staring at me with a big grin, just teeth gritted and big bulging eyes. Terrifying. Can you just do a little zoom up on that for those watchers? That's terrifying. That's going to be a thumbnail.
So if you saw that, it's unusual.
Yeah.
It's not expected of humans. So therefore it is bad. They're scary. Therefore it is bad. Therefore it should be avoided. Therefore it's scary.
So you're saying that it's not necessarily something that you should be scared of. It's just not a regular natural state that we see things in.
Yeah, that's right. So therefore it should be avoided.
Okay. Because
your brain is hardwired to find something wrong in someone.
That's why we're so sensitive to those minor little face twitches that people do.
And that's why we can find faces in trees and stuff like that in clouds and be like, that one looks like a face, or the pareidolia, I think it's called. Pareidolia?
I've never heard of that. Let me look at that up.
Pareidolia is being able to find a face in things that don't exist. Or being able to find human characteristics.
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that correctly. That's interesting.
What's the definition?
Pareidolia is the tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimulus, usually visual.
Yeah.
So that one sees an object pattern or meaning where there is none.
Yeah, and so the human mind is really geared towards seeing human faces. So they found that there's a huge amount of our brain that's dedicated to just understanding human emotions, because understanding human emotions is safety for people, right?
Yeah, you can navigate yourself.
So you can tell when someone's lying to you, and you can tell when someone is being angry towards you, because all of that is negotiating your own space and your own safety amongst the world, right? So that's why you can easily find faces in objects and things around the world. And faces are a big one, because a huge amount of our brain is dedicated to the human face.
That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I think the uncanny
that's a
valley
good
comes
explanation.
right into that.
Oh, I think you debunked that real quick.
Oh, I'm a debunker, man.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. When I first heard that, I was like, that's very freaky. And then I was instantly thinking of simulation theory, and there's like some ancestral
Battlestar Galactica.
There's something in the ancestral lineage that we had like a war against the computers, and from then on we evolved to be scared of anything artificial.
Yeah,
I was going in that direction.
It could just be like, imagine seeing like a Neanderthal in today's time. You'd be able to pick something's off, I think, straight away. You'd be like, yeah, there's something weird about you, you know?
Yeah. That is freaky.
I think that's why you can also, like, when people are being extremely odd or different states of mind or whatever, you can really feel an eerie vibe sometimes.
Yeah. You can tell something if I get too involved with this person, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or you just get like, I don't want to be around you right now. You're freaking me out.
yeah.
Imagine that, but you could just see it all in the face.
That's what I was. You know what you like that feeling you're explaining right now is the feeling I was thinking when your dad caught you smashing the alarm panel.
Yeah.
Because it's my son. I
Yep.
know it's my son, but he's doing something completely different to
Yeah.
anything he's ever done before and that any human would do. That's why I was like, this is so freaky. It's like if an alien would just come in and wear a costume as a human and just start doing weird shit. You'd be like, "This, what's wrong with this person? This is
Yeah.
freaky."
You'd be like immediately something, as soon as it's not happening that you don't expect,
Yeah.
it's unsafe for you.
So freaking scary
But,
to
you
me.
know, everyone's got a degree of that, right? So
Right.
we might be like way more sensitive to it, or you know, someone who's just like an easygoing person might be like, he's just being crazy.
They're the skeptic in the horror movie that dies quickly.
Yeah, they're the one that dies quick.
Yeah, it's just the wind.
Just how he is. He's doing weird stuff.
Oh, he just decapitates dogs all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Very, very cool.
Very, very cool. Wait, did you bring that up?
I brought that up.
Okay,
Well, you brought up the parabolium.
pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I got a little something.
Give me a little something.
There are only. Have you heard of this? There's only 7 basic plots in all of storytelling. There can only be 7. You heard of this? In every story ever told, there's only 7 stories that can be told.
I understand the basic concepts of a story writing, like
Yep.
and then Dan Harmon essentially evolved that. That's why his shows are so successful.
Okay.
He rewrote the hero's journey,
Oh, okay.
which was like I think something like you're at a base point, something goes wrong, you find out something to fix it, you go on the journey to find the thing, it gets fixed, and then you're at square one again. It's like a building block of a regular story,
Yeah.
and he evolved it, and that's why Rick and Morty and Community is such a fantastic show, because he took the basic thing and just magnified it.
Okay, cool.
I'm guessing it's something similar to that.
Yeah, well, but it all comes down to there's only 7 potential stories that have ever been told in all of storytelling.
Right?
Do you know any of them?
I don't, but I'm picturing like it's like also music as well. Like there's so many chords, but we essentially use the same like area
same
of
couple,
music.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the plots are as follows. It's overcoming the monster, and the monster could be like anything. Could be aliens, could be a virus, could be yourself, could be whatever, right? Like just overcoming the monster. So Beowulf, Dracula, The War of the Worlds, blah, 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 Jaws, Star Wars, Naruto, all those things.
Right.
Then there's rags to riches. The poor protagonist acquires power, wealth, and or a mate, loses it all and gains it back, growing as a person as a result. So like Aladdin. The quest. The protagonist and companions set out to acquire an important object. To get to a location, they face temptations and other obstacles along the way. Voyage and return. The protagonist goes on a strange land after overcoming the threats it poses, or learning important lessons unique to the location. They return with the experience. Comedy, light and humorous character with a happy and cheerful ending. Dramatic work in which central motive is the triumph or overcome adverse circumstances, resulting in successful, happy conclusion. Tragedy, the protagonist is a hero with a major character flaw or a great mistake, which is ultimately their undoing. The unfortunate end evokes pity and the folly and the fall of the fundamentally good character. Rebirth, and the last one is rebirth, which is an event forces the main character to change their ways and often become a better individual. Those are the only ones that have ever been told ever.
The last few started just sounding like combinations of the first half.
I guess so.
But I then when you were explaining all those, I was thinking in my head, I'm like,
you can have twists and variations on it, but I think the basic core plot always is the same.
But in my head, there's nothing else a human can experience other than those basic things.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to human story and experience.
There's nothing else you can explain that would make sense.
I think the story, though, for instance, you could be like, go through an event, nothing happens, and you stay the same as a person. But
Yeah.
then you haven't told a story.
You haven't told a story. So
So the point is,
yeah.
this, if you're telling a story, you have to tell one of these plots.
So I think it's more so it's not like looking at it at the angle like this is all that's ever been made. It's more like this is only what you can make.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
the only thing.
Pretty cool though.
Yeah. When someone told me that, I was like, what are you talking about?
And as you were
7.
as you were going through them, I was just getting flashes of movies. Each one you were talking to me about, you know?
Yeah.
You can pick
just
the
picture a
movies
movie
that,
for
that
each
fit into
one.
those categories.
And it says the rule of 3. The third event in a series of becomes the final trigger for something important to happen. Yeah. So it just goes on about like the 7 basic plots, the meta plot, the rule of 3. The rule of 3. In adult stories, rule of 3 conveys a gradual resolution of a process that leads to transformation. This transformation can be downwards as well as upwards. The simple or cumulative 3, for example, Cinderella's 3 visits to the ball. The ascending 3, where each event is more significant than the preceding. The hero must first win bronze, then silver, then gold. The contrasting 3, where only the third has positive value. For example, the 3 little pigs, whose house is blown down by the big bad wolf. The final or dialectal form of 3, where with Goldilocks and her bowls of porridge, the first is wrong in one way, the second is wrong in the opposite, and the third is just right.
And I think for me, as someone that's watched a lot of movies, you start to see, and shows, you start to see when there's been kind of, I guess, subpar writing and they rely heavily on these elements.
Yeah.
And I start to see patterns because I've watched enough stuff.
It's the formula, so it's got to work.
It's just base formula. So things like Loki, people were raving on about, but all I was watching was this very basic writing where something will happen and in my head I go, well, that's going to happen 2 more times.
Yeah.
And it happens 2 more times and I go, well, why am I watching this show that I can predict and I'm watching it for the first time?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I get there's a lot of stuff out there that for people that just want to enjoy a show, and I guess, you know, if you watched enough shows then you start to see those patterns that have been written in a lot of shows that go across different genres, but you just start seeing those patterns. I've just had a quick skim through this.
Yeah.
So I think he rewrote the basic circle of a storyline. So a character is in a zone of comfort, but they want something. They enter an unfamiliar situation, adapt to it, get what they wanted, pay a heavy price for it, then return to their familiar situation, having changed. And there's that's an 8-part circle story, and he pretty much applies that to everything.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So any Rick and Morty episode is that.
I didn't know he had such a specific formula.
But it works so well.
Interesting.
And if you just like this, you have that base and you put heaps of creativity into it, it can be amazing every time.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know he was so formulaic with it. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think he actually adapted what was a base story. So I think what may have only like 4 stages, he made it 8.
Right. He crams a lot into his stories, I think.
Yeah. I'll have to read this whole article, but I remember reading that I think around when I was watching Community, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's heavily distilled down into its basic form of like the hero's journey.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I like it. Yeah. Interesting. You got any shower thoughts, quantum thoughts before we go?
Let's have a look. I have a couple of quantum shower thoughts. What are your, I guess this is a question, what are your personal beliefs on this? I hope this doesn't go into a long segment. What are your personal beliefs on how the pyramids were constructed? What do you personally
believe?
Because I feel like this is a topic that just divides so many people.
I think what I truly believe is that there was some extraterrestrial influence to build them, and we built them through some lost technological means.
Right.
And so they had some sort of technology, whether it be sound waves or ancient spiritual devices, whatever it is, and they built it, and they then, we've since lost connection with that technology, or since the technology was lost forever. But I really truly believe there was some sort of extraterrestrial influence building them, whether it be we were doing it to praise some sort of extraterrestrial influence with that super hyper advanced technology, or the extraterrestrial knowledge. And this could be like humans from another timeline. It doesn't have to be aliens.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
This could be like humans that left Earth or came back to Earth or whatever. We don't know. But they built it, like essentially, or wanted us to build it for some reason.
Yeah.
That's my true belief. I don't believe it was built with people just slaving away these slabs of stone and dragging them over and cutting them to laser precision. I don't care if you had 1,000 years to build it. You ain't building it in 1,000 years. I feel like it's too precise. And they can't explain a lot of the way it was made.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I say I'm more on the similar side of your beliefs, where I believe that we were all at a point in history where we were very advanced, and what we would consider advanced is not what we consider advanced in our current time right now. And I believe we were just on a very different path collectively as a globe.
Yeah.
And I think that a great cataclysm has happened, and we've lost all of that information and technology, which would have been very beneficial to the people, to us as a species and the world. And I think we've just essentially come off a big reset and have gone in a really bad direction. But I am open to the alien theory.
Yeah.
Because of just, I guess, certain hieroglyphics and things like that, and its relevance to our universe. But I also believe that it could have been just very advanced humans. And yeah, I do not believe for a moment that it was some powerful figure making a group of people build this megalithic structure
just to be in it.
I think weren't they even saying like for a ramp to be built to even transport the slabs up to the top of the pyramid, the ramp itself would have to stretch like kilometers at an incline steep enough for humans to actually drag a stone slab
pillar up.
Yeah, because you can't have a freaking ramp like that goes straight up, because humans, there's no strength you can build. So for a steady incline to ramp up to actually,
which they had to build this ramp,
would you have to build the ramp
and then take it away?
Yeah.
And where is it?
Yeah. And look, no doubt, I don't believe that the area would have been quite vegetative and next to the Nile River, and probably there's been boats found around that area and stuff like that. So no doubt there's probably water was abundant in the area and forests, but still, there's no way in my mind that I believe people just built that just because.
And there was evidence to say that it was there before the Egyptians even got there.
Yes, yep, I believe in that.
So it's like, well, they didn't build it.
Yeah, I don't think the Egyptians that we know of them were the ones that actually had the pyramids, that built the pyramids. They just were stumbling across that.
Yeah.
Or they could be predecessors of that race that were from that area.
It's too bizarre for me.
It's way too bizarre.
And there's pyramids all over the globe.
Exactly.
So I'm like, well,
and then I can't
bigger
stand
than Giza.
I can't stand people that are just like, oh, you don't know how it's built, so you just believe in aliens. It's like, well, that's way more plausible than just getting people to build something over 1,000 years. You can't get people to do something over a year. And look at the buildings that are being built in Sydney right now with modern technology.
Yeah, I know, right?
They're just crumbling. And then also on top of that, they're like, oh, you know, a triangle is the basic strongest form of construction or something like that, you know? And it's like, nah, dude, there's significance to this. There's significance to it. It's very strange. People that are just so skeptical, it baffles me that people don't want to like entertain anything. Even if it's like absolutely absurd, like a flat earth theory, I don't believe in it, but I'm not going to say it's stupid straight off the bat. I want to know what they're seeing.
Yeah.
I want to get in their head and be like, what are you seeing that it's so believable to you?
Show me your knowledge.
Yeah, because I want to know how you've been convinced of this. I would like to know. And some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm like, I can't dispute it because I'm not a scientist, but I find that interesting that you've been able to get to that. I don't believe it. But it's interesting. But I can't believe that people in the world are just like, those flat earthers are absolutely stupid. And it's like, well, hang on a second. Like,
we all question something.
Everyone's got different levels.
They thought the Earth was a cube for a long time.
Yeah, I'm just genuinely curious. I'm like, what are these people saying? I want to know what they're saying. Funnily enough, I did see a video, dude. Some old Aussie guy was just holding a globe he was on a live and he's talking about how like, look, if I hold the lighter on this globe, look, it just drops right off. And we're meant to be on the side of this ball and it's spinning through space. And I'm like, wow, dude, man, like this guy hasn't. I don't think they understand.
Just applying the most random knowledge.
Dude, it's just like he's just holding a globe and just puts a lighter on and it falls off. I'm like, and he's like, that's all it is. And he's like, and he said something like this. He said like, because of some, he said like a line like, because of some invisible force called gravity. I'm like, you can't see gravity anyway. Of course, it's invisible. And it just, I think. From what I've heard from watching enough flat Earth videos, it sounds like they don't have a grasp on how big Earth is. That's from what I'm getting at. I think they think it's a lot smaller than what it is when it's so humongous. I think that's what I'm commonly seeing. The way they talk about it, it's as if you can run around Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fully with you.
Yeah, it's very interesting though.
People's minds, man. People's minds.
I did see something that freaked me out, which was I think if you were to take the temperature of the moonlight,
it's colder.
It's colder than the shadow.
I don't get it.
I can't disprove that. I'm not a scientist, and I find that very interesting.
I don't know why it is. I'm sure there's some explanation for it. I've heard that too.
Very freaky.
It is, but I don't know why.
The moon freaks me out.
We'll find out for next time.
We'll say that for another episode. Well, everyone, thank you for returning back with us after a little 1 week hiatus. We'll catch you next week on another episode of Double Dose.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Love you. Bye.